Welcome dear learners to my lecture. Today we are going to discuss on the topic of enzyme immobilization. This is a very broad topic, that is why I have divided the topic into two parts. Part 1, in which I am going to discuss about the different physical methods for enzyme immobilization, and part 2 in my upcoming lecture. In that lecture I am going to discuss about the different chemical methods of enzyme immobilization. So let's get started with the physical methods first. First, let us discuss about the immobilization concept. In a solution, biocatalysts behave as any other solute in that they are readily dispersed in the solution or solvent and have a complete freedom of movement in the solution. Immobilization may be viewed as a procedure specifically designed to limit the freedom of movement of a biocatalyst, making it immobile, not movable. Okay. Immobilization separates the biocatalyst from bulk solution phase to produce a heterogeneous two-phase mixture. So, immobilized enzyme plus substrate gives a product, but what is the advantage? That repeated uses of enzyme can occur, whereas soluble enzyme plus substrate gives a product, but only single time uses. The term immobilized enzymes refers to the enzymes physically confined or localized in a certain defined region or space with retention of their catalytic activities and which can be used repeatedly and continuously. This is a homogeneous soluble mixture solution, and this is a heterogeneous immobilized enzyme. You can see it is dispersed in the mixture, that is why it can be recovered later on. By the help of this cartoon, I have tried to explain the relationship between the enzyme and the solid matrix. They have an affinity towards each other. What are the objectives of immobilization? Why do we immobilize the enzymes? See, enzymes are expensive, and as catalytic molecules, enzymes are not directly used up. After the reaction, if the enzymes cannot be economically recovered for reuse, they are generally wasted. The separation of the enzyme and the product using a two-phase system can be achieved by one phase containing the enzyme and the other phase containing the product. The enzyme is imprisoned within its phase, allowing its reuse or continuous use. The separation prevents the enzyme from contaminating the product. So, what are the two main objectives? One is the reuse of the enzyme and another one is the prevention of contamination of the product. What are the advantages of immobilization? Multiple or repetitive use of a single batch of enzymes. Immobilized enzymes are usually more stable. Ability to stop the reaction rapidly by removing the enzymes from the reaction solution. Product is not contaminated with the enzyme. Easy separation of the enzyme from the product saves cost of the downstream processing. It also allows the development of a multi-enzyme reaction system. What are the disadvantages? It gives rise to an additional bearing cost. It affects the stability and activity of the enzymes. The technique may not prove to be any advantage when one of the substrate is found to be insoluble, and certain immobilization protocols offer serious problem with respect to the diffusion of the substrate to have an access to the enzyme. This is the classification of enzyme immobilization system. It is broadly divided into physical retention processes and chemical bonding. The physical retention process consists of entrapment and microencapsulation, and the chemical bonding consists of adsorption, cross-linking, covalent bonding and ionic bonding. Adsorption is categorized under chemical bonding because the adsorption phenomena is a physical phenomena, but adsorption occurs due to the affinity, due to the different covalent bonds between the surface molecule and the main matrix. Okay. And what are the different processes of entrapment we are going to study in detail. Entrapment. Entrapment is a method that is based on the occlusion of the enzyme with a polymeric network, polyacrylamide, alginate, etc., that allows the substrate and products to pass through, which ensures continuous transformation but retains the enzyme. The porosity of a gel lattice is controlled to ensure that the structure is tight enough to prevent the leakage of enzyme or cells. At the same time, it allows the free movement of the substrate and the product. Means what we have to make sure that the product can pass out from the matrix, but the enzyme are always entrapped in the matrix. It is not passing through. See, this is the example. This is the enzyme which is entrapped inside a latex, and this is the product which has come out. This is a diagrammatic representation of entrapment procedure. This is the yeast cell and the gel forming material is alginate. So, gel formation takes place, and if you inclusion of the calcium ions results in the formation of yeast cells immobilized in calcium alginate. Okay, we give extra amount of glucose to this, and carbon dioxide and ethanol is given out from the process. What are the different processes of inclusion? Inclusion in gels, enzymes trapped in gels such as polyacrylamide, polyvinyl alcohol and polyvinyl pyrrolidine gel. Example, glucose oxidase urease immobilized in PA gel, that is polyacrylamide. This is the example of inclusion in gels. Next is inclusion in fibers. Enzymes supported on fiber format made up of polyacetate, collagen, cellulose, etc. Example is collagen fiber for immobilizing LDH. This is the example of inclusion in fibers. And the inclusion in microcapsules, that is enzyme entrapped in the microcapsules formed by monomer mixtures such as polyamine and polybasic acid chloride, polyphenol and polyisocyanate. This is the example of inclusion in the microcapsules. Next process is liposomal encapsulation by the use of amphipathic lipids, that is containing polar heads and non-polar tails. Liposomes are small artificial vesicles of spherical shape that can be created from cholesterol and phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine, steroilamine and sphygmomyelin, size ranging from 30 nanometer to several micrometers. This is how the phospholipid molecule looks like. Next process is reverse micelle entrapment. This is the normal micelle and this is the reverse micelle. Reverse micelles are nanometric size water droplets dispersed in organic media obtained by the action of surfactants. The surfactant molecules organize with the polar part to the inner side able to solubilize water and the apolar part to contact with the organic solvent. So, this is how a reverse micelles look like. What are the advantages of this process? The simplicity, no change in the intrinsic enzyme properties, involves no chemical modification, minimal enzyme requirement and matrices are available in various shapes. What are the disadvantages? Enzyme leakage, only small size substrate or products can be used, require delicate balance between mechanical properties of the matrix and its effect on enzyme activity and the presence of diffusional constraints. Now we will be studying about the process of microencapsulation. The enzymes are immobilized by enclosing them within a spherical semi-permeable polymer membranes with controlled porosity of 1 to 100 micrometer. The term microcapsule is defined as a spherical particle with a size varying between 50 nanometer to 2 millimeter containing a core substance. These are some of the diagram of microcapsules. Okay. The enzymes immobilized in this manner are physically contained within the membrane, whilst the substrate and products molecules are free to diffuse across the membrane. Membranes are made up of cellulose nitrate, 1,6-diaminohexane and polyestrine. What are the different techniques that we adopt for microencapsulation? They are phase inversion, polyelectrolyte coacervation and interfacial precipitation. Here you can see a diagrammatic representation of the phase inversion technique. You are taking the two phases liquid, you are heating it, we obtained a water in oil phase solution. If you cool it further, the phase gets invert and it becomes oil in water phase that can be further diluted by the water which is maintained at 2 degrees centigrade and we obtain the final solution. It is a reversible process, that is again by heating the phase can be again reversed to water in oil phase. Next is the coacervates formation. Here you can see I have taken the gelatin and the CMC as the polymers at temperature 45 degrees centigrade, and by applying the shear stress we get this particular coacervates formation. And if you reduce the temperature by cooling it beyond 15 degrees centigrade, you maintain the optimum pH and shear rate, you can get a complex coacervate formation. Polyelectrolyte coacervation process results from mixing of oppositely charged polyelectrolytes. Membrane is formed by the complexation of oppositely charged polymers to yield an interpreting network with poor solvent affinity. This is the schematic diagram of a process of complex coacervation. In this, we are taking the feed, that is the oil and the gelatin solution, and maintain the temperature at around 50 degrees centigrade. To this, we are adding an aqueous solution of gum arabic. We are adjusting the pH, and cross-linking takes place by cooling down the whole solution. Then we get the isolated microencapsules, and washing is done to wash out the excess amount of product which is unwanted. The different combinations of polyionic species used are cellulose sulfate with polydietyl dimethyl ammonium chloride, carboxymethyl cellulose with chitosan, gelatin with gum arabic or polyphosphate. What are the advantages of this particular method? That is, it is economic and simple, and extremely large surface area is obtained due to the smaller size of the particles, which have a higher catalytic efficiency. What are the disadvantages? Occasional inactivation of the enzyme during microcapsulation, higher concentration of enzyme is required, possibility of the enzyme incorporation into the membrane wall, and enzyme leakage. With this, we come to an end on the lecture of physical methods of enzyme immobilization. I hope you have understood all the points I have discussed in the lecture. If you have any more queries, you can drop into the comment section of my YouTube channel, or you can mail me further. Thank you for following my lectures. Have a nice day.